Hello everyone, my name is Angel and today I'm going to be talking about choosing an accommodation. What things should you consider before paying that money? I'm currently studying at the University of Southampton, graduating next month, and I wanted to cover a few things for any students coming in and considering whether or not to live in the city, at home, live outside, on the floor. So I'm going to be giving you a few tips to consider just before you pay that money down and you get yourself in a contract that you can't get out of. So without further ado, let's get straight into the video. So for those of you who aren't living in Southampton, the university offers different uni halls, and then you have the private halls. There's living in the city and living close to the university. There's so many things to consider before you get yourself a place to live. Now I'm just going to quickly talk about my experience. When I lived in Wessex Lane in first year, I was living 10-14 minutes walking away from campus. It was full of first year students. I absolutely loved my time at Wessex Lane, but there were obviously some cons to living in Wessex Lane, which was because it wasn't modern, it was quite old, the kitchen was gross, lots of silverfish on the floor, and those were my main points. There were no shops nearby for me to just pop down to buy some bits. I found that quite annoying, but it had access to, so I was able to walk to the gym, I was able to walk to the shops at a long distance. So there are different types of accommodations when you go to university. You have the option of buying a house, you have the option of not buying a house but buying a place in the house, paying for a private accommodation like myself, or paying for a student accommodation provided by the university. So there are plenty of options, but the question is which one is best for you. Now every student has different priorities when it comes to living in university. Some students prefer location, proximity to the university, some students don't mind, other students prefer to live next to the shops, other students don't care, some students might prefer to live with a bunch of other housemates in a house, other students don't. So I'm currently living in a private accommodation. It's called Mercury Point. It's not going to exist when this video comes out, I don't think. It's being demolished this year, but there are other accommodations suitable, similar to this accommodation, such as Orion Point and other bits and bobs. I might put it in the link below. A private accommodation is something that I would definitely always go for, just because so I've got some pros and cons here. Some pros and cons. One pro about living in a private accommodation is the security. You don't have to worry about your parcels getting stolen, someone running into your house, someone, standing outside the doors and being suspicious, and they've got CCTV, they've got security, there's always someone at the reception all the time in case you have an issue, in case you're locked out, in case you've forgotten your keys, in case you need new keys, in case you've got a noisy flatmate. I just think it works for me personally. Another pro would be, for example, I bought a new phone and I sent it to the accommodation before I came back to Southampton, and my phone was nice and safe for the past 2 weeks and I had no issues. My phone was there, nice and quiet. I could have left it there for months and it's still going to be there. So those are one of the things I value. Another thing would be bills. When I considered moving to a house, we had to figure out how we were going to split the bills, how much we were going to pay for Wi-Fi, for the water bill, the gas, the electric. There's so many other things that people don't consider, and I didn't have to worry about any of that when I moved into a private accommodation. The Wi-Fi is always running. I can give the password to anyone and they're going to enjoy the Wi-Fi too. What else is there? I can bake as much as I want, I can cook as much as I want, I can use as much water as I want and not have to worry about paying the bills. So for me, I would give that a 10 out of 10. I would strongly recommend for anyone not wanting to have to worry about the bills or worry about security in this place. I also would say the service is absolutely phenomenal. Like, you might have to pay more for a private accommodation, but I think the service is worth it because, for example, one of the locks broke and it was fixed the day on the day, so I came back, everything was fine, I got locked in my own room. If you have a fault, there's always someone to fix it. There is also a regular kitchen inspections to make sure the kitchens are at an acceptable standard, which I think is great because then you can blame someone else, or well, the kitchen's always tidy. Another thing I would say is the location in the city. I love being in the city. I chose to live in the city. It has its own pros and cons, but I like having access to the shops, the gym, the train station. Another thing I would say about living in a private accommodation compared to living in a house is you're able to live with students. You still get the student feel, the student life. You have other flatmates, students. There is a chance that most students living down here in the city are from Solent University. Slightly different, but still students. I don't really mind. I much prefer living with students than living with people with families, children. There are lots and lots of around the city, and you never know, you might be living next to. I've heard stories of people finding out they're on the most dangerous part of the city or living in the most crime-ridden street, and there's nothing you can do about it because you signed a contract. That leads me on to my second pro, is you are not signing contracts with people that have the potential of ditching you, leaving you, running away. I've heard a story where a group of girls have signed a contract to live together, everyone pays their separate rent. One person said she couldn't pay it after they'd signed the contract, and then the other girls paid for her. Before you know it, end of the year, the girl's gone, nowhere to be found. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? There was nothing in writing to say that she had to pay the money back. So she's gone missing, we don't know where she is, and she's living her life in her new car, etc, etc. It's things like this that I'd much rather avoid because I tried to commit myself into a contract and something in my head was saying, don't do it, you're gonna lose money, it's gonna be a liability, like you're tied to a group of people that have no loyalties to you. It's risky. I think it's risky, and that's why I chose not to live in a shared house during my time at university. Do I have any more pros and cons? Another pro I would say is not having to squabble with, is similar to the other one, not having to squabble with your housemates, flatmates, because one person's not paid the rent, or one person's, always in the toilet, or one person's using up all the water in the house, one person wants the heater on, one person wants us to save money because it's too expensive, and then you're freezing because you just want to live a comfortable life like a soft babe, and you want to be warm in your house in the winter time, but everyone else agrees, majority agrees, that there shouldn't be any heating on. Everyone wears some warm clothes. Things like that, consider it. Think about it before you sign the contract, because these are real stories and real scenarios that I'm sharing with you for anyone considering sharing a house. I'm also going to give you some pros of living in a house as well. Some pros of living in a house is it's much cheaper. A lot of the times, if you live in a house, there is a chance it might be cheaper, but the only thing to look out for is if the contract is usually lasting for a year round, and you have to pay more money less money for longer amounts of time, so you're tied into a contract for 52 weeks compared to living in a private accommodation tied into a contract for 44 weeks. I paid a lump sum down and I didn't have to pay for it, but some accommodations do installments, so you can pay throughout the week or throughout the month. Bills are changeable, bills are interchangeable, but sorry, I'm supposed to be talking about pros. So pros could also be living in a group of lovely friends that you actually enjoy spending time with. So you could make longer lasting relationships with your friends because you all live in a separate house together. So I know students who have a house of 7 students, 2 bathrooms. They're all best friends and they all go to lectures together, they all go back to uni, go to clubs together and things like that. I think that could be a pro for some people. I couldn't care less. I'm a lone ranger. I like my own space. I like to be in my zone, so I personally wouldn't go for that. But if that sounds like something you could do. Another thing to consider with living in a house is landlords. Landlords can be quite pesky. Some of them, they're not all the same. Landlords are different in the way they deal with their tenants. Some of them are lovely, some of them are a bit temperamental, some of them raise the rent, some of them want to kick you out. These are real stories, I'm not even joking. So consider the fact that you might not get the wonderful tenant that you had the last year, or that your friends had the previous year. There's no guarantee. I would say another con for living in a house is parking. If you get a car, there is a chance you might not have a house with parking space, or multiple housemates have cars and you have to negotiate who gets a parking space. Southampton houses aren't plenty, and they're not spacious. They're not the most beautiful houses either. I just personally, this is the most biased video I've ever made, but I just think, no, I can't live in a house in Southampton ever. Anyway, another thing to consider is your distance from campus. How far away would you like to live from campus? Would you like to live walking distance? Do you have a car where you can drive a longer distance and not have to walk? Do you have access to bus routes that can take you to university? So I live very far away from the uni, so about 1 hour's walk to the campus. Not ideal. Someone else might look at my situation and be absolutely repulsed, but I knew what I was getting into, and I don't mind. I don't mind having to walk 10 minutes to get the bus and sit on the bus for half an hour to get to university. I think it works, but the good thing is I'm making this video so you can figure out what you like and what you don't like. One thing I would say is make sure you consider the distance. If you want to walk 5 minutes from campus, I think go for it, but consider all the other things I've been saying as well. You also have to consider if you want to live in a shared or ensuite accommodation. So you have studios, you have en-suites, and you have shared flats. So that means shared bathroom, shared kitchen, and all you have to yourself is your room. So I'm currently living in an ensuite, and I think it's the best thing for me because I don't want to have to be getting all dressed and putting my shoes on to get to the bathroom in the middle of the night. But it's a cheaper option going for shared options. So in the event that you don't have the financial capabilities to get your own ensuite/studio, I would strongly vouch for the shared apartments. They're not all bad. Sometimes you get really lovely flatmates and it forces you to socialise. So I personally, the reason why I chose an ensuite is I like the access to my own bathroom, toilet, in the middle of the night, in the morning. I think when I first started university, TMI, but I had some bowel issues and I would have absolutely hated to have a shared bathroom with my condition at the time, because it would have been very inconvenient for me and also my flatmates. So you can imagine things like that, just putting it out there. Think if it was you in this situation, you would probably choose to have an ensuite at best. If you've got the money for a studio, please be my guest. But I think definitely consider what type of environment you'd like to stay in for the remainder of your student years. Okay, another thing I'd consider before I come into university is access to shops and amenities. Do you have a small corner shop available? Do you have a Sainsbury's, Tesco, Nisa, Premier, somewhere you can just get some bits? Say for example, if you're a lady and you need some sanitary products urgently, you know what I mean. Do you have access to a shop you can quickly pop down to get your bits? And I just think it's very convenient, and that's why they call it a convenience store. I think it would be really good to have access to at least a corner shop, but if that's not something that you really need, that's fine. Think about it. This video is for you to just consider your options, think about it before you sign the contract. Just a heads up. Another thing I would consider is laundry. Does your accommodation have laundry? Access to washing machines and dryers? If your accommodation is run by circuit, do not, and I mean this with my whole heart, chest, body, soul, do not commit yourself or put your clothes in a circuit washing machine, dryer. Don't do it. Don't do it. Find a local laundrette, go to a friend's house, take your laundry back home. But whatever you do, don't put your laundry in circuit, because they will take your money and make your clothes 10 times dirtier than you've put them in. I'm saying this from experience. Other people have experienced this. This is not just me. Read the reviews before you commit yourself to a circuit washing machine / dryer. Oh my gosh, I'm so furious with them. I'm so furious. Anyway, does your accommodation have laundry, or do you have to go walking miles to get the closest laundrette? Do you need access to gyms, student hub, study spaces? Accommodations offer different things. It's up to you. If not many students bother with the gyms and vending machines, but I've seen some people absolutely love having access to a water dispenser, vending machine. Some students love using their study spaces rather than going all the way up to campus to go to the library. I personally think parking is a big thing. If your accommodation has parking, it saves you a lot of time when you're moving in, moving out. If other people come to see you, it really helps being able to walk a few steps to put all of your university things in and out of the car. So I've got some red flags you need to avoid. One red flag you need to avoid is purchasing a place or purchasing a tenancy agreement, or paying for a tenancy agreement. Paying to be a tenant without actually seeing the place you're going to be a tenant at. Don't do it. Go for a viewing, have a look around, see if the place is nice, see what the types of people are like around the area. Make sure this area is somewhere that you'll be happy to live for a year plus. Otherwise, you've committed to an agreement, you've ruined your university experience because you don't like your flatmates, you don't like your neighbours, you don't like the service that you're getting, you don't like the fact that there's no parking, the place is dodgy. Southampton has lots of dodgy areas. People don't check before they get involved with this. I've seen places my friends live, and I wouldn't wish my worst enemy to live anywhere there. So hey, think about it, okay? I would just say, ask yourself if you want aesthetics, if the type and the style of your accommodation matters. Some people don't care, they just want somewhere to live. Also, go on Facebook groups. There are lots of accommodations being sold on Facebook. WhatsApp group as well, university bulletins as well. They also show accommodations. But overall, I really hope this video was useful for you in making your decision on which accommodation to get when you're coming into university. I know there's so much to think about, but it's for your benefit. I really hope that you manage to find a lovely place to stay for your university and you have a wonderful time with your flatmates, housemates, and make some lovely friendships and memories. If you like this video, click the like button and subscribe for more content like this. Other than that, any questions, put them down in the comment section below. You know what I mean. Yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye bye. Take care.